sides. So as I'm going, if you have questions, if you want to know more about what I'm doing, or if you have questions generally, I'm more than happy to answer those. Uh, it's one of those where makeup doesn't always turn out the way you plan for it to at the beginning, but what's most important is if you're having fun, and you always get to learn something new, because no matter how many times you paint a face or you try a look, you're going to be learning something new. So I am going to start with the ear as opposed to the nose, because once I put on the nose, unfortunately, I will have no nowhere to breathe. So there's no nose holes in this snout, which is a design oversight. But I also don't know how to make holes in it after the fact without it causing a problem. Oh, how long does it take to do a full face? If I'm doing just like a standard handsome masculine face, I can usually crank those out in an hour to an hour and 15 minutes if I want it to look well. If I'm in the middle of a show and I'm changing faces during a show, sometimes I can crank those out in 20 minutes if I need to between sets. It will never look as good as if I take my time. The first time I did the pig face, I think it took me about 2.5, 3 hours. Uh, when I've done like a vampire look, it's taken much longer, because for the vampire, there's all of the different contours of like the brow bone that happens. And so you have to shade under all of that and highlight the different parts. So that took much longer than the pig, which apart from the prosthetics is largely my standard contour. So fortunately, other than these pieces, it's a fairly fast face. So to attach the earpiece, I like to use a silicone adhesive. Different people will use different things, and it really depends on your skin as to what's the best option for a glue. Anytime you're using something like a glue, though, if you're a kid, you need to make sure to be talking with your parents, because it can get messy, and you need to make sure that you're removing it correctly. And not all glues are safe for the skin, so making sure you have an adult talk to you about like what's safe, what's not, is really important. I like to use this Krylon silicone adhesive that you can't see because my dog's background, but there's that. It's pretty messy because I tend to keep it in a plastic bag since sometimes it spills. So what I'll do is I usually open these up, and it used to have a brush on the tip, but that's broken off over time, which is actually better because the Q-tips are easier to use and you can just throw them out when you're done. So I never like dump it onto a prosthetic. I'm actually going to shut off my background so you all can see what I'm doing better. One moment. There we go. So I'll never dump it onto a prosthetic because that would be a recipe for disaster. So instead, I'll have my prosthetic and I'll identify the edge where I want to apply glue. And sometimes when you first get a prosthetic, long before you add the glue, you want to take the dry prosthetic with no glue on it and kind of fit it to see where it's going to sit on your body, because that's going to make it easier when you go to apply, because then you can see exactly where it's going to sit on your ear or on your face. And so in this case, I've already worn this prosthetic once, so I've done a lot of the work of like trimming it back and fitting it to my ear shape. Sometimes when you get prosthetics, especially if they're made by someone else, they'll have an extra edge here, and you can just pull off some of that extra prosthetic edge with your hands. Actually, fun fact, prosthetics will come in different types of materials. This one is a soft foam, and so that's what makes it flexible. It's also lightweight and more bendable. So as far as a prosthetic that isn't going to fall off easily, these are really great. They are more expensive, and so a slush cast prosthetic, which is more like the ones you get at a Halloween store or at the costume shop in Des Moines, that's a lot more affordable, and they'll still look great. It just won't be as good for extended wear. So once I have my prosthetic fitted and I'm ready to go, and I have my glue, I will dip my Q-tip into the glue, making sure to try to not be too messy, and I'll line it inside the prosthetic. And usually with certain glues, the silicone adhesive less so, but especially with something like spirit gum, you'll actually want to wait between the application and when you stick it on your skin in order for it to get tacky. Something like spirit gum will actually stick better if you tap it a little bit, usually with something like a wig cap, because if you use your fingers, then your fingers are going to be very sticky. Something I like to do as well, just to help ensure that it sticks well, is I'll take the glue along the edge of my ear as well, rather than just doing it on the prosthetic. But it's very sparingly, and I make sure to avoid hair. If you get glue in your hair, it's really awful, and that's where proper removers come in handy. If you're using a specialized glue, like a silicone adhesive, you want to make sure to buy the remover that goes to it, because otherwise that's a surefire way to pull out hair or hurt your skin. And so you always want to be careful, because especially with things like makeup where you're putting it on your face, it's safety first. Now, sorry, I have to get a mirror because I can't do this in the reverse on the computer screen. So 1 second, everybody. And so what I'll do is I'll slowly start at one edge, applying it to the ear. And that's really the trick, is just going slow. And especially with something like an ear, it doesn't have to be perfect, because that's the beauty of wigs. You could just toss on a wig once you have the ear in place, and then that would hide these edges. So if I never go back in with makeup to smooth out these edges, I can just toss on a wig with a sideburn, and it will help hide that edge of the ear. Now what I'm doing right now is I'm just actually pressing my ear into that edge within the prosthetic to make sure that it's good and snug, so that I don't have any issues. So the ear is on, and it's not going to go anywhere until I go through with the remover later. Again, proper remover is essential. Something like this, I'm going to usually take a rag and soak it in for a while before I just rip it off, because it'll take off a layer of skin if you're not careful. Yeah, they really could go either way. It could go pig or chihuahua. That's the nice thing about certain ears, is you can use them for a lot of stuff. I mean, you could also do a goblin or all sorts of creatures with this ear. There's a great company in Canada called North Fur FX, and they actually are the folks who made this ear and my pig snout for me. And they have a variety of options. They also can do whiskers built into the snouts. So if you want like whiskers on a fake nose, they can do all of that right there. And they'll pre-paint them. These ones were not pre-painted by them, but I pre-did the makeup on them just to save a little bit of time. So onto the nose. Now the nose is a little bit different than the ear. With something like this, you're going to use a hinge method to apply it. And so what that means is you'll start with adhesive in the center, stick the prosthetic on your nose, and then you'll slowly work out toward either edge, kind of hinging it like it's a door. With this one as well, like I mentioned, it goes underneath my nose as much as on the front and the top. So something that you have to be really careful about is not putting glue right here, because if you do, it's going to be uncomfortable and it's going to smell like glue, which is not that pleasant for most folks. And if it is pleasant for you, you probably shouldn't be doing it anyway. So it's very important, safety first. Have someone help you. That's always a great option with glue. My partner also does drag, and so something that's nice is we can always help each other if we need an extra hand to get stuff done. So as with the nose, you want to make sure you fit it. This one fits, as with the ear, this one fits me pretty well, and the edges are thin. That's something else that's great about prosthetics, is the thinner the edge gets where it's going to lay against your skin, the more realistic it's going to look. Some prosthetics have kind of bulky edges, and that's okay. Your prosthetics don't always have to look real. You can still have fun even if it doesn't look perfectly smooth. And the reality is none of us are ever going to look like the folks in the movies unless you become one of the movie makeup artists, and you might. But people sit for hours upon hours upon hours to do that makeup. When you think about something like Lord of the Rings, people would sit for 8 hours in makeup before they even started filming. So again, I'm going to take glue on a Q-tip, this time a fresh Q-tip because I don't want to use the same one and have it get gunky. And instead, I'm going to go down the center, avoiding the nose part where my nostrils will sit, and kind of getting that ready to do the hinge method as I apply it to my face. Similar to the ear, I'm also going to do like a strip on my nose here itself, just because I think that does make it a bit easier. Another adhesive alternative, like I'm using a silicone adhesive, is called Prozaid, and that's actually designed for prosthetics. It's a medical grade adhesive, so those are also pretty nice. So it's all about going slow and being patient. Just pressing it on there nice and snug. And as you can see, the sides are still loose. So the next step is going to be finishing off that hinge where we stick down the sides. And usually I'll do one side and then go to the other side. So here we go. Just a little bit of glue, fresh Q-tip again, because it's very easy to get messy. Lifting up the edge, just working it in there slowly. And sometimes,
And while Mick is working on that, I was just going to remind people about using the chat and the Q&A for questions that you have. Mick's been answering questions that have been coming in on the chat as he's gone along. Back to you.
Oh yeah. So it's just applying the glue on the inside and then slowly pressing it down. Your fingers might get sticky as you go, and that's something that I do run into, and I'm running into right now. And I'll show you how to deal with that in a second after we get the other side down. Doesn't make sense to clean off my fingers until we get both sides down. So there we are. And as you can see, the makeup is a bit different than my skin tones. There are visible edges right now. As we start applying the makeup, that's going to change some. And for the other side, taking another fresh Q-tip, dipping it in my glue. I make sure to do this on the edges to avoid drips, because there is nothing worse than getting glue all over your house. Lifting the edge up and going in slowly in here again, just like the other side. Get some more glue on there. And then slowly pressing it down. Now, as you can tell, my prosthetic has affected how I speak a little bit. And it's not because it's hindering how my mouth moves, but it's essentially plugging my nose, which again, that's why I say prosthetic design can be important. It's one of those times when I wish I'd thought to have nose holes installed in this one, but I did not. And so stuck with what I ordered. But, you know, if you learn to make your own prosthetics, which is really cool, really affordable, it just takes some time and some practice. That's the ideal way to do this, because that lets you have complete control of your designs. I have some friends who make their own prosthetics, and they even just use gelatin. That way it's a one-time use prosthetic and they can throw it away when they're done. So that's a really affordable way to do prosthetics on your own. Just giving it one more push, make sure it's on good and snug, especially on the edges, because a loose edge later is going to make it apply less smooth. I don't know if you can wear a gelatin one and then eat it, but I would not want to find out. I'm not sure what type of gelatin is used. So as I mentioned, my fingers are a little bit sticky, so I like to take my remover and a towel. Not a good towel. This is like the type of towel that someone might use in a garage to clean up messes, not a kitchen towel, not a bathroom towel. Don't make parents mad by using that. Make sure you have a nice grubby towel. And then you just pour it on there a little bit. And then I can just rub off that extra adhesive off my fingertips. And doing that's going to make applying the rest of the makeup a lot easier, because then I won't have a mess to deal with. The other nice thing about having the special adhesive is if I had spilled a little bit on my computer stand, I could just take that same cloth that I just used to clean my fingers and wipe it up, nice and quick. Usually it won't stain anything, but you always should be careful. That's the same reason I'm wearing this shirt, is it's a nice shirt, but it's also one of my grub shirts. So if I get it dirty, I'm not going to be upset. I haven't ruined one of my favorite shirts, nothing like that. So it's always nice to have good play clothes for when you're doing makeup so you don't have to worry about anything going wrong.
Mick, we
So
have a question.
yeah,
A question came in, and it is, what is the longest amount of time you have taken to apply a design? You've already talked about the Lord of the Rings, but what about yours?
um, gosh. Okay, so I think my longest one was when I did Sasquatch in November this past year. I think Sasquatch took about 3.5 hours. Uh, it was a prosthetic that covered my entire forehead and like here, uh, all the way over. Wait, no, it actually covered my chin too. Okay, so it was an entire face prosthetic. That was another soft foam one from a website called Mostly Dead. It was actually designed for Planet of the Apes, but I used it for Sasquatch. And between the application of that, all of the base colors, all of the shadowing and highlights, 3.5 hours. And then I went in with hair and I did these long, like 1970s sideburns down my side of my face and my jaw. And that took a little time to itself because that was essentially a prosthetic on top of a prosthetic to make that happen.
Awesome, thank you.
Yeah. So my next step is then to take my base color. I like to use Krylon brand. That's a makeup company that's usually used for theatrical makeup. But right now, Maybelline has this great full coverage foundation. And so I'm all about using that drugstore brand that's so much cheaper than this Krylon stuff. Krylon's not bad, but if you could do it cheaper, you should. And just to prove to you that I really believe that, my contour that I use is from Maybelline because I found a Maybelline contour that works just as well as anything I'd buy at Sephora for $40, except I spent 10. So you can do wonders with cheap makeup once you learn how to apply makeup well. And it's great makeup for experimenting because it's cheap. Same with makeup brushes. You could go and buy a fancy set of makeup brushes, but it's not going to do you any better than cheap ones. At Dollar Tree, there's Wet n Wild makeup brushes, and those are going to work just as good as the ones at a makeup store. You don't have to spend a ton to do drag. You can go to thrift shops for costumes. You can go to Dollar Tree for makeup. It's just about time and patience and practice. So when I use a stick like this, I actually like to apply it directly onto my face and then blend it out later. A lot of people use beauty blenders. And again, this is a moment where I'm a little on the cheaper end, and this is a knockoff beauty blender from Walmart. It doesn't work quite as well. I will say beauty blenders do have some magic to them, but it works well enough. So I just go with it. So for applying this to my face, you don't have to apply it on thick because what you're going to do is blend it out anyway. So I just do a little bit like this. I kind of avoid the eye because less makeup by your eyes is almost always going to be better and comfier. What time is it? Oh, it's only 7:25. So I guess I'll put foundation on the whole face and we'll see if there's time to get to the whole thing. And doing your neck can be really important. Otherwise, you're going to have a weird hard crease there. And as you can tell, my neck gets kind of red when I'm talking and performing. So obviously, I want to kind of cancel that out with some makeup. So it's all spotty right now, not smooth at all. So that's where blending comes in. And some people use fingers and call it nature's beauty blender. I was someone who did that for years and have since switched to sponges. It just keeps my fingers neater, and I like that. So what I do is I kind of tap it, but when you tap, you kind of drag it slightly, not a ton. So you're not going like, but you're like, whoop, whoop, whoop. And so that works much easier for the application. And same with like in the eye, I'm kind of being very careful. Anytime you do stuff near your eyes, you got to be gentle and careful. And you can always go back and blend those in later with a smaller brush. Sound effects do help. I think sound effects help with everything. Just like if you're trying to remember things for school, making up songs makes a world of difference. So I go all the way to my hairline because if I don't, then just like on my chin, I'll have this weird crease. Let's see, I'm going to actually, cool. See if I can get this to, there we go. I will say one of my favorite parts of the pig prosthetic is the fact that my skin does get so red. It's nice for the inside of the ear because I can just leave the inside of my ear pink and it looks like it's a part of the makeup design. Sorry, one sec, guys. And back. Now, that sponge was very big for inside the eye, right? It's not going to do a great job, which is why it's great. You can have other sizes as well of blending sponges because it's a sponge for every occasion.
Can you juggle, Mick?
No, not at all.
Oh, okay.
I have, I mean, I have like this weird, there, I've heard them called devil sticks, but I always called them juggling sticks, and I could do that, but I am one of those drag performers where it's looks over weird talents. So some drag performers can do amazing things. Like I have some friends who are ice skaters and amazing dancers, and so they incorporate all that into their drag routines. For me, I just kind of look cool and have a lot of fun because that's what I want out of my drag. But for everyone, it's their own. That's the beauty of it is it's art, so you can really do whatever you want.
Got another question about do you have the Sasquatch picture in the slideshow that we're going to show at the end?
I don't think it's in the slideshow, but
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
I could in theory find it, but
Well, maybe, yeah, and maybe it can be like a small Google scavenger hunt for our attendees while you're doing
yeah,
the rest of your work.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, good luck Googling. Uh, let's see. So my next step is usually to do my cream highlights. And for that, I use a specific brush that I like. And I have a makeup brush container that's this cat planter. So as I'm digging through, what I'm digging through is my cat planter. So, and I have way more brushes than I'll ever use for one face, but that's because if I change makeup during a show, it's nice to have new brushes. Usually when you clean your brushes, they're not going to be dry in time unless you use special cleaners. Whew, 1 second. There we go. I managed to get my screen dusty already. So with the highlight, I like to use this little angled brush. Really, any flat brush works well for applying cream. And so for this one, I'm taking, it's not quite white, it's called TV white, and it's going to be lighter than the foundation, and it lets me paint along it. That edge isn't down the best. So when something like that happens, you have two options. One where you just plow forward, and that's usually what I do if it was a show and I was getting ready in the middle, or I can go back and I can clean up that edge. Since we have some time, I'm going to go back with my glue and clean up the edge a little. So when you're doing cleanup like that, it's extra important to be really delicate and to control how much glue you're using because it's easy for it to make a mess on the rest of your face. And so I'm pulling it away from the skin a little bit where it wasn't attached well, just go smooth out that edge. And that's going to make a difference when I'm trying to continue applying this cream, because it's going to make it apply a lot easier to have that edge secured. And I will say, if you're starting to play with makeup and you're looking at a bunch of different makeup artists online, something that's really important to remember is almost every single person who does makeup also uses Photoshop. So if you're seeing someone's makeup that looks flawless, don't get down on yourself. Instead, kind of keep it in perspective that they probably used a computer to look extra pretty. And so you're just learning. And part of the learning curve is figuring out what's like attainable with just makeup and at what point it is technology. And technology is an art to itself. So the people who do Photoshop, that's actually an amazing skill, and all the more power to them. I really don't know how to use it, so I don't. But a lot of folks do use Photoshop and do so successfully to create amazing, amazing enhancements to their makeup. Fingers are sticky again, so I'm going to take a little bit of my remover on my towel and just get my fingers nice and clean before I continue. And just make sure that's down good. Okay. So when I do the highlight, I will, and in general makeup going over the top of the prosthetic, I will go from the prosthetic onto the skin versus the other way, because then it's smoothing it down as I work, which is going to give me a much better result than if I go the opposite way and run the risk of pulling the edge up. And so for me, I like to have a very distinct brow bone, and part of that involves highlighting above the eyebrow. And you'll see as we go that it looks a lot like a war paint, for lack of a better word for it, a face paint of some sort. Oh, the pig design. Um, Actually, prior to COVID, I was booked for a Looney Tunes show, and I was going to do Porky Pig. And then COVID happened in the beginning of March, as folks know, that it really took off in the United States, became the latest fad. No, not a fad. It's real. But in other words, we had to cancel the show. And then I was sitting on this prosthetic for months, and digital drag came about, and I was booked for what at the time was a large show here in Chicago. And I wanted to bring something that was uniquely me. And so I dug out the pig prosthetic and away I went. And so today I chose to do the pig because it's fun. It's Animals are always fun, and it's something that everybody can enjoy versus Sasquatch, where only some people know what Sasquatch is slash Bigfoot, depending on the where you're raised and what you call it. So when I highlight my forehead, I also do this part of the brow. And the features that I tend to paint when I do makeup are to help create a more masculine face. And so that involves giving it a more angular look. Sometimes I imagine what a caveman's face would look like, because it helps me see like the cartoony image of how I want to do the shapes in my head a little bit better. That's why you see this big distinct brow, big distinct chin, distinct cheekbones, as I'm thinking about extremes when I'm painting. And so for the cheek, I also like to highlight the cheekbone, like I was saying. So here, sometimes I'll take brushes. Sometimes I'll honestly just take the stick, depending on how thick I want to make it. In this case, I'll take the brush again, just because it's a little bit gentler than going with the stick. Starting on the prosthetic and working my way out. Since this prosthetic was kind of painted in advance, it's not going to require a full paint, but I actually would usually continue the highlight all the way over underneath that pink. And same with here on the top, I'd continue the highlight all the way down, just to try to add continuity to it. If you go part of the way, but then you stop at the prosthetic, it actually makes it look more fake. So making sure that you include, even in the parts where you think you wouldn't, like tip of your nose, having a little bit of a highlight on it on the prosthetic, helps keep the colors consistent, and that does wonders for bringing it all together at the end. And just like how we talked about doing the rest of the face, it's one of those where right now it's going to look chunky and we're going to blend it out. Blending is amazing because it doesn't matter how you look at the beginning. Anything you blend is going to look 10 times better. And so I like to highlight my chin, trying to make the feature come forward. Anything you highlight is going to look like it sticks out a bit or is a little bit higher up. And then anything that you make a little bit darker or add a color to is going to look like a shadow. And so the nice thing about that is it lets you create shapes on your face and try to bring out new ideas. So for my jaw, I like to bring out the square of the jawline with how I highlight it. When you see drag queens do it, they'll also do a lot of contour and highlight on the jaw, but their goal is oftentimes to make their face a little bit rounder, a little bit softer versus angular. We tend to associate soft features and round features with femininity, and harsh and angular features, like more prominent and angular features, with masculinity. So if you make things very boxy, like if I do a portion of a square, very sharp angle, well, more like a parallelogram, but if I do a very sharp angle there, section of a triangle, it's going to make it appear more masculine than if I do a rounded one. And I do stop a little bit shy of here because I want to make sure that that shape stands out. And if I go all the way back to follow my natural jaw, it's just not going to look quite as square. I don't want to stop too short, but I do want to stop a little bit short so that I have room back there to contour it. And so if I was doing my regular human face, I would also do contouring along the upper lip. But in this case, we'll be skipping that. So the next step is to blend. I usually use my medium-sized one for blending my highlight. And part of that is size-wise, it makes sense. Another part is because if I go through with the same one that I just used to blend my foundation, it's going to take the highlight and make it less bright. So I'll usually use its own. And this one, my goal isn't to get it all over, but it's to blend within the shapes I added, blend the edges of them a little. If you blend all over on your highlight, it will make it turn into just the foundation of your face, which could be cool, but for me, that would make me incredibly pale, which would be a struggle with makeup. And not all shades work for all people. So when I've taught makeup in sessions that had people of color in it as well, things that I would use for my contour work for them as a highlight. So a lot of it is just trial and error and figuring out what shades work for your face. The fact that I'm using something called TV white for a highlight isn't going to work for everybody. So it's a little bit about experimentation and figuring out what fits you. Chin and the jaw doing the same thing. It's very bright looking, and part of that's this ring light and part of it's the artificial light of my computer screen. So let me see if I can back off the computer screen brightness a little. There we go. I turned on the nightlight setting, so while I look a little bit strange to myself now, hopefully that takes off a little bit of the artificial light effects that were happening before as far as makeup goes. And a little more blending in here. just because right now you can see every pore, and you never want that to happen. Sometimes it will happen where your makeup just doesn't want to stick to your skin well, and that's okay. It isn't always going to be a great day for makeup, but you can always have fun when you do it. And I also blend even where it's on the prosthetic, because as with the face, it's all about just trying to keep things smooth, keep it consistent. The next thing that I'll usually do, especially with this face where we're going to be doing other than a cream for the contour portion, is I make sure to set it with powder when I'm done with my cream. I like to use Midnight's Neutral Set, which is a colorless powder. There's lots of them out there. Sometimes they're called colorless, sometimes they're called translucent. Some folks like to set with powders that have a tint to it, like see there we have a little peeking out of the ear. Fortunately, an easy fix of just getting it stuck in the grooves well. Like to use like a banana powder or pink rose type shade. It'll just add a little bit more color when you set it. Usually you want to use these with an intentionality to it. So you'll want to use it in specific spots on your face to get maximum like oomph. So in this case, with the neutral set, I like to use a little powder puff. And in the container that I keep it in, I have these tiny holes. So that keeps me from getting too much on my powder puff. And I do kind of one of those. And I dab it around. You don't have to dab a ton on. And that's why I like to have the tiny holes, as I'm someone who gets pretty excited about powder. And that to itself can cause your makeup to have some issues as you're applying it. So making sure to have something to help control your own excess powdering can be helpful. So once you've got that on there, sometimes people will do what they call baking. And that's when you sit with a powder in one specific spot or all over, and you let it kind of soak into the cream makeup a little bit more. I've also heard the word sandbagging, but that's not what drag folks use for baking. So baking is really helpful if you know you're going to be outside in the hot sunshine. So usually when most people would be doing Pride Fest, something like baking is very helpful. Now, you can see that I have all this loose powder on my face from where I powdered. Taking a big old fluffy brush, you can just brush away the excess. And that does a lot to just kind of clear it out. It's about being gentle. It also has a side effect of helping blend out makeup sometimes. So fluffy brushes are great for blending, but it's just important to keep an eye on what you're up to. And if you blend away all of your highlights, then you just go and highlight again. Or if you make a mistake, sometimes you can blend it out. Now, for this face, since it's a little bit simpler one, I don't use any cream contour. If I was going to cream contour, I would have already done that, and you apply it just like you would with the cream highlight. So my next step is I go into my powders that have different shades, and we're going to be using a pink eyeshadow when we get to the contour. But first, I have a white powder that I apply to my highlights just to make it pop out more. As I mentioned before, if you're not my skin tone, and I'm very pale if you can't tell from the video, you're going to have to use a different shade. I get to use super white, but for most people, that's going to be way, 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 way too pale. And even now in the summertime, I run the risk that I'm going to get too tan for it, but we'll see how it goes. Now for this one, I don't have a nice container like I do for my neutral set. So I use the lid of it as my container to work with. And I just pour a tiny bit and I tap it rather than dumping it, because that just lets me control how much goes out. Just the tiniest amount inside the cap. And I'll take a fluffy brush and I'll apply it to the same spots that I just highlighted, just to give it an extra like oomph to the color. And sometimes you can find it helpful to tap if you want to get more powder out in certain spots, or you can brush it across if you want it to be gentler. Usually I do a lot of tapping when I do the white because my goal is to have the pigment get picked up and have a lot of the pigment remain. And again, it's going to apply way more powder than I'm going to have with the final steps, but it's helpful to start with more because you can always tone it back and you can always start with less and build it up. It's nice because makeup doesn't have to stay the way it starts. Just add a little bit more powder because I ran out. And so now I'm going to go across the cheekbones like I did with the brow. And part of this is also like learning where your face and your own face shape to try to make things look as realistic as possible. If you color a cheekbone that's completely unnatural to you, it's going to take a lot more practice than if you're incorporating your natural facial features into where you're placing it. So for me, my cheekbone ends right here, which is why my highlight is ending right here. So that's the base of my cheekbone right there. If you're trying to figure out where your cheekbones are, you just kind of poke around and you can find a little bit harder spot and then the squishy spot of your cheek. And your cheekbone is where that squishy spot starts. Another way you can look at it is by sucking in your cheeks like this. It kind of can give you an idea where that all is sitting. Same with the jaw. I'm going to go in with that white and just kind of add the extra pigment in. I like working with powder more than cream because I think it's easier to build up and I think there's a little more control to it. And that's all really nice when you're doing makeup because feeling like you're able to just add more to get to where you want to be is a lot easier than feeling like you need to remove makeup since that takes a little more time. Now, something I like to do is highlight the middle of my forehead a little. Some people don't, but oftentimes with masculine folks, you'll see their hairline is a little bit higher. And so by highlighting the upper part of my forehead, it helps give an illusion that my hairline is higher than it is. With drag queens, you'll see them contour around the edge of the hairline to give the appearance that the hairline comes down further than it does. And same with like how I'm going to do a shape here when I do my contour. I'm going to do a very square shape on my cheek. Queens will do kind of like an upward swoop, and that just helps make the cheeks look rounder on them versus, oh, excuse me, on me where I want it to be a square. Have a little bit extra powder. Now, sorry, sometimes I get the powder on the lens. When I have a little bit extra powder, unfortunately, getting it back in here is a hard time. So instead, I'll just dump out the cap usually and then screw it on to secure that. When I have brushes, and I think I might use it again for another color, that's another place where my towel comes in handy, is if I've used like a powder, I can usually dust it against the towel like this, which will take out some of the excess powder. It also helps keep my station, and sometimes you'll hear the word station used for wherever people are doing their makeup. Helps keep it a little bit neater if I don't have a ton of loose powder on my brush when I put it back in the container. That's actually a really interesting thing too with makeup and drag. You're usually not doing it alone. There's other people who are trying to use the same space as you, who are going to share the stage with you. And so part of theater, part of drag is being considerate of the space of others. And that does mean cleaning up after yourself. So if you leave a mess on the counter, you make sure you clean it up. If you leave your costume laying in the hallway, make sure you pick it up because someone else could get hurt, someone else could fall on it, or it could just be in someone else's way. And so it's all about being a good neighbor to the folks who are sharing that space with you. And so next we're going to go on to the contour. And I like to start with this very bright, sparkly pink color that I have in this eyeshadow palette. I have a lot of different palettes because over the years, folks have just given me different palettes. As far as deciding what palettes you should get, what you'll see people do sometimes, and you can usually find videos online for checking it, is they'll swatch it, which means they'll go like this with a finger, take their forearm, and smear it on there to kind of see what the color would look like on their skin. It's a great option. People swatch all the colors and palettes online, so then you can even see all of them before you buy a palette. Some palettes are more pigmented than others, and by pigment, that means there's a lot more color in it that sticks when you use it. Some palettes will look really, really great here, but then you won't see any color when you put it on skin. So it's important to just kind of play with it. If you're someone who isn't white, Juvia's Place has a lot of great makeup options that have a wider range of skin tones than what you're going to find in your average supermarket, and it's still fairly affordable. So it's really a great option to just kind of poke around the internet, see what other people are using. If you're young, if you're a kid, talk to your parents. Do the internet together, do it safely, and who knows? Maybe you and your parents can learn makeup together, because that would be even more fun. So I'll take a fluffy brush again, and I just kind of move it around on there, get a lot of pink on there, and I begin applying it. And I like to begin under the eye and along the nose. Sorry, it is so weird doing this in a computer screen. There we go. And going up, again, away from the prosthetic like we were doing before, just to try to get that shape in there. So when some folks, when they do drag, will glue down their eyebrows. And when you do this, that will allow you to put your brow bone as high or as low as you want. And it will also just help change the shape of your forehead and face. Most of the time, you'll find drag queens doing that rather than drag kings, but a lot of different folks do it. If you've ever seen Landon Sider, he is someone who is a drag king who will glue his brows. I tend to use my natural brow in my designs. So even here where it's a pig and I could have glued them down, I usually won't, just because, boy, gluing it down is a process to itself, and it gets hot and sweaty. Because of all the things that you'll use an Elmer's glue stick and go like this across your eyebrow, and then you'll brush your eyebrow up, and then you'll wait a few minutes, let it get good and dry, then go with the glue stick again and go over the top of the eyebrow again, and repeat that like 4 or 5 times. Then you'll go in with your powder it on really, really good, dust it off, and then you'll begin doing your makeup. So it's a time-consuming process because you have to let an Elmer's glue stick dry every time. But Elmer's glue sticks have been used by drag queens since the dawn of time. So it's one of those when it's not back to school time, it's usually drag performers who buy the most Elmer's glue. And so with contour, I'll go up under the eye because I'm trying to make that brow bone look larger. And so a lot of that is makeup. So there's different ideas about how makeup should be applied. Some people will say always the same direction. Some people will say little circles for things like eyeshadow. I do this windshield wiper technique, which I've heard people say isn't the way to do it, but hey, it's my way. And that's all that matters, is finding what works for you and what technique works. So I like the windshield wiper. Not everyone does. I will say one of the best parts of the stay-at-home time is that I get to play with makeup if I'm having a quiet day at work. And so I can just go dig out my makeup and play with makeup for a while. And so on my forehead here, right next to where I highlighted, I'll do this little bit of contour just to make it pop out. And so right now it's really harsh, but something that I can do is I can take my towel, dust off a little bit of that powder, and then go in and use that same brush to kind of blend it down and out away from where I just put in that hard line. And it softens it and gives it a bit of a gradient look. That's the word for when you have it start at one color and either fade to another color or fade lighter or fade darker. That's gradient. So powder is a lot easier to get gradients with than cream, which is part of why I like it. Is with a cream, you would really struggle to get a nice gradient, whereas powder, I can just use that trick that I just showed you guys to do it. Same with like here in the nose, I have this hard line and I can take the brush and I can actually blend it down and out a little bit if I want to try to give it a gradient right here. And sometimes you look at things and you're like, oh, need a little bit more powder. So you just can tap it, can swirl it around, whatever works for you to get that little bit more color in there. Now, since I pre-did the prosthetic, there's this pink in there, but it's the same pink that I was using for my contour. So I just colored in the nostrils because anywhere you have contour is where you're imagining there's going to be a shadow. And so places like the nostrils would have that shadow too. And so adding that in can be important. And we'll go in with a more muted pink as well, which just kind of helps add levels to have more than one shade. And so on the cheek, I'm going to do that little bit more square shape. As I mentioned, sucking in your cheeks is one good way to see it. You can also just kind of feel it and try to learn where your spot is. Gosh, I've been doing this since January of 2015 or so, playing with it off and on. It was January 2016 when I really started doing drag fairly regular. So over time, I've come to know where that line sits on my face. But at first, when you're doing it, it is a lot of trial and error, and it is going to look weird. And it is a lot of just a learning curve. You know, you don't know how to do math the day you walk into first grade, but by the time you graduate high school, hopefully you do know some math. And it's kind of the same thing with makeup. So again, like up there, I have that little bit more of a line. And so I'll go and I'll dust it down a little to kind of blend it out, even using the same brush that I applied it with. And since I'm doing a pig, it's one of those where more pink isn't a problem. So some looks you want the shadow to end pretty abruptly. With something like this, you can really continue that shadow down as far as you want without it causing any type of disruption to the look. Now, another place that I like to shadow is below my lip. And part of that is just to make my mouth come forward more, make it seem a little bit larger. And so there's this spot between your lip and your chin on most folks that you can shadow in right here, which will make both the chin and the lip seem larger. And I kind of curve it, continuing it to give some shape to that chin. And I'll even sometimes take it right here on the sides of the chin and add a little bit extra to just really give that boom feel to it. And on the underside of this, I usually do some pink because again, you imagine your shadow would be underneath the nose as well. Now, as I mentioned, the jaw is a spot where people will almost always want to add a shape. And I go pretty square, but for the most part, I follow my jawline just along that edge. And so that gives a shadow. It can also, if you're someone who's a little bit self-conscious and feels like you have a double chin, adding a shadow to your, sorry, I had an alert on my computer. Adding a shadow here can help you feel like your chin doesn't have a double chin anymore. Uh, it's a really cool trick, actually. Sometimes you'll see people grow a beard where they'll shave it so it ends right there at the jawline, and it kind of helps give that effect of a stronger jaw and like helps conceal a double chin effect. Shadowing with and contouring it can also give something similar. And so I'll usually carry it back a little ways. How far back you should go is really up to you and depends on your face shape. But I do like to kind of blend it out a little bit to avoid the harsh lines that you can sometimes get. And to keep that square idea going, I'll actually make the square shape with my shadow back here. So that helps make that jawline look a lot more square. And I know it doesn't look like much when you're looking at it from the just this side, but when you go and you compare it to the other side, that is actually a huge difference between here where we have none of that shadow and highlight and over here where we have that presence. Now, one of the other spots that I always like to add contour is actually on my forehead because I added this highlight up here. Anytime you add the highlight, you should think, wow, this spot is a spot on my face or on my body that I'm trying to make come forward. So when you have something come forward, you're also going to have a shadow underneath it. It's just like when you think about trees outside, for anything that goes up or goes out, there's going to be a shadow. So for me, I like to do it a little bit lighter and do it along that part of the brow. It also helps the white stand out more, which when you're on a stage, you always want things to be more extreme because you're under bright lights. And if you don't plan for the extreme lights, you're gonna get washed out. And what that means is everything will blend together by the colors being super similar. When you're doing photos for for the internet, for things like Instagram, it's less important to have the bright colors and the distinct colors. But for things like theater, it's really helpful to have that distinct difference between the two shades. So that is the beginning of our contour. And now usually what I like to do is to go with a darker shade. Oh, sorry about that. And so I actually use a different palette. This was one of the first palettes I ever bought for myself because it has so many color options and I can do anything with this palette. But I'm actually going to go in here and get some of these darker pinks to kind of help add a little bit more of an edge to the contours that I'm doing now. So I could use the same brush if I wanted to, but I have a different brush that I like better for darker shades. And there is absolutely no science to this. I just have a brush preference. The more you do things, the more you find the things you like. Just like if you like peanut butter and jelly on a Tuesday, then you eat peanut butter and jelly on a Tuesday. I like this brush better, so I use it for the darker shades. So let's see. And with darker shades, you want to be careful because it's going to stand out quite a bit. So you want to make sure you apply a little and build it up. But enough that you can actually see it. So hold on one sec. There we go. So it's not much. It's just kind of subtle to add an extra dimension to this makeup. And I'm mostly isolating it to the spots that would be the very edges of the different color, just to try to make that pop a little bit more. Now, if you're sharing makeup with other people, it's important to learn how to clean your makeup. And so one thing that you can do is you can get a little bit of rubbing alcohol. Ask adults to help you figure this out, and you can dilute it a little bit. And then you can actually spritz your palettes with it, and that will work to sanitize them. Again, though, it's one of those where you should definitely have help because less is more, and it's safer to have somebody help you when you're using stuff like that. And going back along the jaw, just with some of the spots where I want to have that little bit darker color. And so I do kind of want to bring my chin out more. So I'm actually going to hit right here just lightly with some of this to create another line, kind of dividing where the chin meets the rest of the jaw. And that kind of gives it like a shape to itself, like there's an indent there. Okay. Now, the next thing that I will usually do is take a nice fluffy brush and just kind of use it to blend out a little bit more, because sometimes it can feel a little bit harsh. So going in and just blending it more can make a world of difference to make things feel gentler, more natural, get the look you want. Now you can see right here that white kind of just, I'm not feeling it, right? Sometimes things aren't quite what you want it to be, but you don't have to stress because there's always things you can do. You can always experiment, always come up with new tricks. Here, that edge just feels so sharp on the prosthetic. And part of that is because this white continues to where the pink is, and it just kind of drops off. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to go back to my white cream, not my whitest of white, but my base foundation. I think, yeah, I'm gonna go back to my base foundation rather than my TV white cream. Take my little sponge, put it direct on there, and just kind of help make that all the same shade. So then it just feels like a more natural flow between what is prosthetic and what is face, and take some of the edge off that pink that was just overwhelming right there in the corner of the mouth. Same with right here in the cheek. Let's say I was like uncomfortable with how pink or how white it was. I could go back in with my foundation and add a little bit more, blending it out until it's got the shade and the shape that I want. Same with around the eyes. I can reintroduce colors. And that's the nice thing with makeup is it's like how Bob Ross talks about painting. It's not mistakes, it's accidents, but they don't have to destroy the look. You don't have to start over. It's just about experimenting and finding a new way to do things if the first thing you try isn't working the way you wanted it to. Whoops, 1 second, I knocked my palette on the floor. I will say, if you have palettes, you have to be careful not to knock them on the floor. Sometimes they break. Fortunately, mine did not. This one's pretty durable because the powders are, so they're pretty small containers for the powders for this eyeshadow. But if they're larger, if they're more like this contour palette where the spots are bigger, it's easier for it to break when it falls. If that happens, there are ways to save it, ways to recover it, ways where you like soak it with alcohol, stick it all back together, and then when it evaporates, it'll be a palette again. I haven't tried it, but the internet does have answers to questions like that. So the internet is amazing when it comes to makeup. Everything I've learned is because I watched some internet videos. Now, since I did reapply some cream, I want to make sure to set it. If I don't, these spots are going to stay kind of wet. All of the cream makeup is a little bit wet, a little bit sticky. If you're using Halloween makeup, which is like more like a grease paint than a cream makeup, it's going to be wet and sticky more easily. So I'm reapplying a little bit of my translucent powder. Since it's that clear powder, even though it looks white right now, the second I go through and I hit it with a fluffy brush, there we go, it will take away where I just put that powder, which is the beauty of using colorless powder. Okay, it's always so weird to see half a face because it just looks so different. Now for the ear, you do a lot like what you would with the face. It's just the spot where I would be more delicate. And so I'll take my foundation, but instead of trying to like cream it on there, I'll take it direct on the sponge and usually try to apply it around there a little bit more delicately. With the ears, like I said, it's easier to put on a wig that covers this edge than it is to try to make that blend out. And some of that is just the reality of how ears are shaped. The nice thing is no one's going to notice because everyone's just going to be so excited about the cool makeup you did. So you can just have fun with it and not worry about it. The ear isn't going to be exactly the same shade, and that's okay too, because you don't want to put makeup in your ear. It's better to leave it a little bit more natural, flesh toned than it is to put makeup all over in it. If you're older, if you're like a teenager or older, then you could add a little bit in there because I trust you to know how to clean your own ear, but be careful. Things like ears and noses should not have makeup put up them, should not have makeup put in them. It's not safe. And I'm not using it today, but I think we should talk about it. Glitter. Do not put craft glitter on your face, by your eyes. Craft glitter has sharp edges. It's little pieces of plastic. And so if you put craft glitter near your eye, you could actually cut your eyeball. And that sucks. And it makes your eyeball feel gritty and scratchy. So instead, if you must put glitter on your face, make sure you're using cosmetic glitter. Have an adult help you figure out what cosmetic glitter is. Buy it specifically from a makeup store because it's more expensive, but it's so much safer. It's so much more worth it because you can always get more money. You cannot always get more eyeballs. Make good choices. So since I am an adult, I am going to add a little bit of pink to my ear. Again, as I mentioned, don't do it unless you are equipped to clean your own ear or have someone who will help you. And even more so, I'm going to make sure I have pink on the prosthetic because that'll just help draw it all in. So there is that. And I do want to make my cheek a little brighter, so I'm just going to add a little bit extra right there. Now, since I kept my eyebrows, you could leave them like this. I always have a hard time with that because it just seems weird, like it's incomplete. And so for me, I'm going to go back to that dark color and I'm going to try to use it to color in my eyebrows. But since eyebrows are a little bit different than face, I don't necessarily want it blended out. I like to use this little bit stiffer brush. It's not soft. It's hard to see on a camera, but it's a little bit stiffer and it's still pretty fine tipped, but not the finest. So I'll be able to go in and add that color just where I want it. And so I'll just color in my eyebrow with this other shade to make it feel like it's a part of the look versus something that I forgot to do. And so doing so just helps bring it all together. And sometimes, you forget things when you're doing drag, and that's okay. I've gone to shows where I've forgotten to color in my eyebrows, where I've just showed up like that. And Gosh, I felt like it was the end of the world. But guess what? There was only one person who noticed my eyebrows weren't finished, and that was me. More often than not, people aren't going to judge you as harshly as you judge yourself. So be compassionate toward yourself. Be gentle with yourself, especially right now when we're all doing this staying at home and social distancing. Be your own best friend and be nice to yourself because you deserve it. So it's just coloring in that brow. And so that brow is like a kind of a small thing in the overall thing. But for me, having that there helps with making expressions and making faces because then it just kind of caps it off. And I got to avoid putting Elmer's glue stick in my eyebrow, which I am a big fan of. Now, if you want to make edges a little bit sharper, you can go in with that same brush and try to add sharper edges. Same with like going in your nose, you can not your real nose, in your fake piggy nose, you can go right in there. So it's nice to have multiple types of brushes, and usually you can buy a few at Dollar Tree pretty cheap, or you can buy a little set at Walmart or Walgreens. If you have a choice between Walmart or Walgreens, 10 out of 10 recommend Walmart because Walgreens does charge more for the exact same products. Uh, Another affordable brand is NYX, and I really do like to use that as well. So there you go. There is a pig half. Now, I do like to use lipstick, even though I do more masculine characters. It just helps finish the look. There were times when I didn't use lipstick, and I just like it more. The one that I'm about to use is actually from a store that's near everybody in Ames, kind of. It's in Des Moines called Vanity and Glamour. I am a big fan of their makeup, and they know a lot about makeup. So if you're looking to get started and you don't know where to start, go talk with the folks at Vanity and Glamour. A lot of drag people buy makeup there. It's vegan, it's cruelty free, and they're all just super nice. Yeah, and the products are amazing. It's the only lip that I'll wear now. Okay, let's see if I can do this. I always struggle with lips in the mirror, so we'll see if I can do it on camera. And this lipstick that they have is also amazing for a nice nude lip. That doesn't look too different from what your normal lip would be. I'll also show you all a trick for if you mess up your lip. So let's say I'm going along and I do that, and I have this smudge outside of where my lip would be. Well, or where I want it to be. Uh, with drag, if you mess up, you can overdraw it. So if I wanted, I could make my lip bigger by extending the makeup out. I don't usually do that. So when I go over the edges, I'll go in with a Q-tip, try to take out that excess. And then it's like, oh no, I still have this weird smudgy zone. But fortunately, I still have cream makeup and I have TV white. And so I'll go back in with my highlight shade, get a little bit on the brush, and kind of cut where I want the edge of my lip to be. So when you hear drag people talk about cut, we're not talking about actually cutting something. We're talking about giving something a sharp edge. So here people talk about like cutting a crease, and that's here in your eyelid. And so if they cut the crease, it means they're drawing like the design of where that crease in your eyelid sits. And so for me, it's about cutting out that lip where I messed up, just adding that white to give it a nice edge. And you can do that along the entire edge of your mouth if you want. And you just kind of blend it out like with anything else. So there is half pig face, half person face. Yeah. Does anyone have any questions? I probably wouldn't have time to finish the face, but happy to field questions people have, tell you more about products that I've got here, or talk about brushes.
We'll give people a second or two to type in some things.
Sounds good.
I'm gonna go back and make sure we didn't miss anything from the chat. Mick, the brush that you showed almost looked like an eraser on the end of a pencil. Is it?
Oh, yeah, this one.
Yeah.
It's like a true brush. It's just kind of firm.
I see.
It mostly looks that way because of the pink being on it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's still a brush, but it's just a very stiff one and still got a pointed edge. I have, gosh, oh, there's also fan brushes that look like this. So a fan brush is going to be more for things like your highlights. So this is like an Urban Decay highlight, and for sake of showing what it does, I'll just do some. You can take your fan brush, doodle it about like that, and then you'll usually want to put it right along like your spots you'd highlight. These type of powder highlights are more popular for drag queens or like your day-to-day makeup wearing. And you usually just want to put it on your cheekbone, on your nose, and that's it. If you get too wild and start highlighting your forehead and chin with it, you'll start to look just a little bit sweaty. And so what it does is it just adds like a shine. Gosh, you can kind of see it. My lighting's a little bit weird, but so it adds like a shine or a shimmer to the spots that you would highlight.
You saw it. You saw the question. Okay.
Yeah. I was just asked, do you ever get sad at taking your makeup off after all the time it took to put it on? Usually not, because as much fun as it was to put on and to have on, oh boy, does it feel nice to get it off, especially after you've been on stage for a while. So in this case, I might snap a picture or something to just kind of peeling up on the nose there, to commemorate the way it looks, to commemorate how I felt in it. And that's why I take a lot of photos. Yeah, it's always cool to see what it looks like. But I will say my nose is very excited to breathe again and breathe normally. And okay, the gross part of drag, there will probably be snot inside of this little piggy nose when I take it off, because I have a nose that's still trying to breathe despite knowing there's no nose holes. So there's stuff like that where it's mild discomfort and the audience never knows, but you're still thrilled to get it off. And on times when I have wigs on and I glue down the lace, then I'm especially excited to get it off. So I'm sure everyone's worn a winter hat, especially in Iowa. And you know how when you wear your winter hat inside, it gets hot and sweaty? Wigs are just like that. It still gets hot, it still gets sweaty, except instead of fabric, it's all of this synthetic hair, usually, sometimes human hair, but that's expensive, so it's almost always synthetic. And you just can't wait to get that off because you're sweaty underneath and it's hot in buildings. In winter, wigs are great. Summertime, can't wait to get it off. Uh, and oh, and with wigs, there's lots of types out there. Your cheaper wigs, like the ones you'll get at a Halloween store, or the shorter wigs tend to be hard fronts, And that's where the hair starts like right at the edge of the wig. Sometimes the hairline looks a little bit fake because of that. And so some people don't like those, but most of the wigs I own are hard fronts because they're more affordable and you can get them anywhere. You can also get lace fronts. And what that means is there's a little strip of very, very thin lace that goes around the edge, and it'll let it create like a natural hairline like this. And when you have a lace front, you'll glue the hair down, you'll glue down the lace around the edge of your face. A process to itself. When I wear some of the larger beards, like what you'll see in the slideshow, those are actually lace pieces, where it's with the face pieces I use, it's real human hair that then I glue down the lace to form the face piece. So yeah.
That was our last question. So on behalf of Ames Pride and Pride Fest 2020, Mick, we just want to, first of all, I want to apologize for slipping and saying Nick during the introductions, because that's my nickname. I don't know what the problem is. But we want to thank you for always being such a great supporter of Pride and Pride Fest and the Ames Public Library. We love having you as part of our family, and we wish you, we hope to see you soon. Do you know, are you going to be doing any more presentations or programming for Pride Fest? Do we have anything in the works?
Nothing in the works, but
okay.
I mean, there's always next year. I'm sure I'll be around next year.
Exactly.
I really like coming back to Iowa. It's one of those where coming back, okay, Ames is especially exciting because you guys are on the cusp of all of these changes and progress, and it's an exciting time to be in Ames, Iowa. So I like coming back because you get to be a part of a movement from the beginning versus having to just read about it in a history book.
Well, we appreciate the things that you do to highlight us and help us become bigger than we really ever thought we would be. So for our attendees, let's give a virtual round of applause for Mick. Please join us by checking out our Facebook page, following us, looking for our Pride Fest events for the future, as well as our Ames Pride events that we'll do throughout the year. But for now, we're going to sign out, and thank you, Mick, so much for your work tonight and always.
Yeah, you're welcome. Nice to see everybody again.